Hello everyone, we are now 2 weeks into lockdown and already a whole lot of you are going absolutely stir crazy locked up indoors. Question is, should you be and why? Because brothers and sisters, we still have a hell of a long way to go. So let's start by putting a few things into perspective. The lockdown measures, you might say, are fairly measured. You stay indoors, don't go to work unless you're a key worker, you can go out for exercise once per day, and you can only go out for essential shopping only. Now, I can see why this must be difficult for a lot of us Brits, because usually every day during our week we're doing so many different things like rock climbing, snorkeling, hiking across the Great Canyon, then traveling to India to throw yourself into the spiritual cleansing madness of the Kumbh Mela before meditating at the Dalai Lama. Oh wait, doesn't sound like you at all? Yep, because Brits actually spend most of the time indoors watching TV. Brits will watch between 19 to 24 hours per week. In fact, latest research shows that Brits will spend 10 years of their life watching TV. And that's not even including streaming services like Netflix and Amazon. We're talking straight up boring TV with like adverts and Phil Mitchell. And for those of us who do use streaming services like Netflix and Amazon, well, turns out over 80% of 16 to 24-year-olds will binge watch at least once a month. Even you oldies are getting involved in the old streaming action, eh? With 29% of you 65 plus binging your way through the month from probably The Crown or Grace and Frankie.
Stand back, I'm about to lose my shit. Sir, could we get some cigarettes over here for crying out loud?
Oh, God, thank you.
Hi.
Hi. How are you? I'm good.
Anyway, my point is this. When we have corona-free choice, we choose to live a life of lockdown. So why all the complaining? And isn't the average UK holiday between 10 to 14 days? And what do most of us Brits do on holiday? We lounge, we eat, we drink, we lounge some more, we eat some more, and we drink again, and then we drink a whole lot more. In fact, according to the Drinks Business Survey, we are the biggest drinkers in Europe. Whilst the rest of the Europe are taking their first tipple around 5, 7 p.m, we Brits are already on it at 3:30. In fact, 13% of us start drinking before 12, 4% of us start drinking before 10 a.m. To add a little perspective, in 2018, 72.6 million of us took a trip around the world on holiday. So that would be 250,000 of us having a tipple before 10 a.m. Hey, no judgment here. #guilty. So considering our favourite things to do as Brits is to watch TV, eat and drink plenty of alcohol, shouldn't the lockdown be the ideal holiday? I mean, we even have the weather right now. Just put on your shorts and sandals, take a nice stroll to your local co-op and greet the shopkeeper with a "Hola amigo, ¿dónde está alcohol?" Fill your basket with booze and snacks and you'll feel like you're on your habitual holiday in sunny Spain. But seriously, why all the complaining? Are we really this petulant and ill-disciplined that we are struggling with the lockdown measures already with potentially many more months to go? Like, let's look at the alternative. The government could have adopted a completely different strategy. They could have adopted the herd immunity strategy. Now, this basically means that there'll be no need for a lockdown. There'll be no great need for social distancing and everything would carry on pretty much as normal. The idea is that we let the virus spread. We let it infect as many people as possible to a point that there's no one else left to infect. Yes, there'd be a great loss of life and it would literally decapitate the NHS. And the knock-on effects with other patients with other life-threatening illnesses would die due to lack of treatment. That would be sad. But hey, you still get to go outside. You still get to complain it's too hot and then head off inside a pub with air conditioning. #worth it. Another argument I've heard is that the virus hasn't infected enough people to warrant a lockdown. Okay people, despite the fact that, as I mentioned in great detail in my previous video, COVID-19, what you need to know about testing, please go check it out, about how the lack of testing disabled the government from giving us the statistics to add weight to their decisions. It's important to remember that in any case, it's a preventative measure. It's designed to prevent and reduce the number of cases increasing. Would you rather wait until we're Spain or Italy and then issue a lockdown? Would you rather the government adopt the herd immunity strategy, almost guaranteeing the fact you'll get coronavirus, your employer having the choice to force you to work even when you are scared to, having literally no choice but to hope that once you get coronavirus, and not if, but once you do, your body will be able to deal with it and recover? I think honestly, you'd all be complaining about that too, and a lot more than you are right now. So before you start going crazy, screaming about how bored you are and how tough you've got it because you're being paid 80% of your salary to stay home and stay safe, think about those key workers on the front line that every day are putting their life at risk, waking up every morning with genuine fear that they could contract this virus, wishing in some cases that there was an alternative so that they could stay home and they could stay safe. We will only truly feel like we're all in this together if we really are all in this together. For those making the greater sacrifices, they'll feel alone and unappreciated if we can't even make the little ones. This is not an encroachment on your human rights. The principles of human rights lay on the foundations of egalitarianism. The égal in French meaning equal, meaning the same for everyone, regardless of age, ethnicity, religion, sexuality, or any other status. The government is asking everyone, no matter what status, famous or civilian, rich or poor, young or old, to stay home and stay safe. And let's be real guys, lockdown could have been a whole lot worse. And all you need to do is look at China for evidence. Wuhan, the epicenter of this outbreak, have a population of 11 million people. That's more than London and Greater Manchester combined. And their lockdown measures, along with tens of millions of people in nearby cities, is what you think of when you think of lockdown. Starting within hours of the announcement, transport into and out of the city was completely closed, with no exceptions, even for personal and medical emergencies. Schools and universities were already on holiday, but this was extended indefinitely. All shops shut except those selling food or medicine. Private vehicles were barred from the roads without special permission, and most of the public transport had been stopped, leaving the streets empty and silent. Initially, people were allowed out of their homes, but restrictions soon tightened. Some areas limited outings to one family member every 2 days to buy necessities. Others barred residents from leaving completely, requiring them to order food and other supplies from couriers. Later, the policy became even more aggressive, with officials going door to door for health checks and forcing anyone ill into isolation. A disabled boy reportedly died after he was left without food, water, or help when his brother and father were quarantined. Thankfully, our liberties haven't been encroached anywhere near the levels of China, yet we still seem to complain the loudest. What does that say about the mentality of us here in Great Britain and in the West generally? There is something to be said that in times of pandemic and global disaster, the communist ideology seems to work better, more cohesively. While I don't believe in the practice of this ideology, and we've seen far too many examples of how it breeds and enables dictatorship at government level, however, the minds of every single citizen in a time of crisis is already prepared and ready to sacrifice and work for the we instead of the I. We, unfortunately, fundamentally lack this ability to work together towards the greater good. Too many of us pulling in different directions, rebelling for unknown reasons and creating rumours and conspiracies to divide us all from what really matters most, the life of every single human being. My final thought is this. Most of us are crying out complaining simply because we are bored. We are bored because we are used to filling our time with things that truly don't engage our minds or work to the betterment of you or those around you. we indulge in activities that don't challenge your strength of character, your will or resolve. Because of this, we've become weak and ill-disciplined, that we can't withstand 2 weeks of engaging in these extracurricular activities. We are addicts, addicted to what numbs us from ourselves, distracts us from looking in the mirror and asking ourselves the most pertinent questions in life. What can I give to the world? What have I taken from it? What am I grateful for? What are my values? And am I being true to them? The exploration of yourself and spiritual self is a lifelong quest that usually we don't have enough time for. Well, now you do. So if you are bored, then for sure you are not asking yourself these questions. We are all scared addicts, desperate for our next hit and not knowing when we're gonna get it. So let yourself and the world rehabilitate itself. Carbon emissions have dropped to its lowest, but if we are the same people when we come out of this, then everything will go back to how it was. In order for things to change, we need to change ourselves. So the next time you are bored, close your eyes and think. Think deeply and think meaningfully. In the wild Yellowstones, wolves hunt elk, which means elk may eat fewer of the beaver's trees. Successful beaver ponds are flourishing with trouts, and otters love trouts. Fewer elk also means less competition for the bison, allowing the population to thrive. Wolves spark an ecological chain reaction that benefit many who live in the Yellowstones. But in order for it to work, the wolves must work together and do their job collectively. We as a human race are no different. We are fragilely interconnected to each other and the planet that we live on. So while in self-isolation, please remember that you yourself are not isolated from the fragile connection in which we all deeply depend on each other now more than ever. So please stay safe, stay home, and stay connected.